Time. Time dictates everything that we do in a day. When we will wake up, when we will go to work, what we will eat, how long we spend with our friends, our spouse. We are graded on how well we perform at work and whether or not we will get that big raise based on time. The state and quality of our marriage depends on how much time we spend with one another. And ultimately, time will kill us because our days are numbered. A watch, like this one here, is a good way to tell time. I can't help but look at this watch. Notice the design, Roman numerals, and the artwork on the front. I often like to take a moment each day like this just to appreciate the small details and the objects around us. Our world is filled with beautiful design and intelligence. Which leads me to a really important question I want to bring forward in this video regarding design and intelligence. Anyone can look at this watch and say that it was obviously created, designed by a human being, created by hands or by a machine. Can life arise from non-life? Can intelligence come from non-intelligence? I would say certainly not, and any endeavor to believe so or prove otherwise is foolish. I would like to focus our discussion on two religious worldviews, the Big Bang Theory and the theory of evolution. Now these two theories are taught to our young, impressionable minds in our public schools as fact too many times. So let's ask ourselves this. Can these two ideas that are held to religiously by so many people, can it be proven scientifically? And I mean science in its truest sense. Is it testable, predictable, repeatable? Using this watch, I will show you how foolish a notion it is to believe that beings such as ourselves, intelligent, can arise and evolve from random, unguided processes that these two worldviews would have us believe. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Now let's take a close look at this watch, because in a moment we're going to completely disassemble this watch into all the individual components and pieces that together make a functioning, time-telling, and keeping device. So one thing I like about this watch, and well, any pocket watch you look at, is the character that it's given by its designer. Like on the back here of this watch, we have a really interesting design etched into the back here. We have this metal backing plate. Of course, we have the chain and this little clip to keep it on your person. A long chain. And on the front, we have some artwork here around these Roman numerals and a little looking glass so that you can quickly, without opening it, take a look and see what time it is. And of course, if you click the top here and release the front lid, you have the Roman numerals all the way around your clock. And the really interesting designed minute and hour hands here, and of course you have some numbers here on the inside. Very interesting. It's not the most expensive watch in the world, but it has its own unique character and design by its designer, the creator who designed this watch and put it into production and made it. So now on the inside are the individual components where all the engineering happens. So I'll be right back with this watch, broke down to all of its individual pieces. So that didn't take very long. I didn't know exactly what to expect taking apart this watch. I can't say I've ever taken apart a pocket watch, but there's not quite as many components in there as I would have thought, especially with it being an older, purely mechanical pocket watch. You'd have a lot more gears and tiny little springs. But getting it apart here, there are on that black piece of construction paper there some very small, tiny little gears. And they were white, so I put them against the black paper. And you can see all the other components, which are fairly larger. The minute hands are here. This battery, this watch had a battery in it, so another good indicator that it's a cheaper watch. It's not a purely mechanical pocket watch, but still we have quite a few components in here, all designed and engineered to make this watch tick, and for the minute hand, the second hand to move, and for us to be able to use it for what its design and intended purpose is, and that is to keep and tell time. Now, breaking down this watch is very similar, I suppose, as breaking down and decoding human DNA, let's say. Human DNA being much more complex, as it was created and engineered by God, the Creator. There are very small components inside this watch. So here now, as you can plainly see, we have this watch completely disassembled, and I put all the individual pieces in this jar here. And what we essentially have now is pocket watch ingredients, or a pocket watch soup, that when properly assembled, as you can see there, by the watch's designer, will resemble a watch, a device for telling and keeping time. Think of this as the universe, or as a human being, with all the individual components, the cells, and even breaking the cell itself down into the individual components that even make up a single cell. Now, the Big Bang Theory and its adherents, in simple terms, would believe that all components for everything in the universe were floating around together in nothingness, and all of a sudden a big explosion happens, and given an impossibly ridiculous amount of time, came to self-engineer itself into planets, stars, the Earth, everything as we know it today. So applying this same principle here to this watch, you can see where I'm going with this now. All we need is an impossibly ridiculous amount of time, and I would say an equally large amount of faith, and these watch pieces will assemble themselves back into the correct order and resemble the watch as it was before we disassembled it as a functional time-telling and keeping device. Now, does this sound scientific? Does it sound ridiculous? Does it sound like it would take superpowers to make happen? I would believe that believing in evolution and the Big Bang Theory takes an incredible amount of faith in the impossible. I would also say that just like creationists, we would admittedly assert that the first life came about from supernatural processes, that being God speaking them into existence. In the same way, evolution must also call on the supernatural to get life existing from non-life, from intelligence coming from non-intelligence. The Big Bang in evolution is not scientific, as it is not testable, predictable, or repeatable. Just like believing that this watch here can self-assemble itself back into a fully functional watch, as we saw before I broke it down. Does this seem impossible? Well, if only we as Christians had as much blind faith as it takes to believe in evolution and the Big Bang as being real, well, we would be able to move mountains. Now that's some food for thought. Thanks for watching. God bless.